All right, we're going to talk about the difference of cubes and how to factor out an equation if it has perfect cubes within it. So perfect cubes are like 1 times 1 times 1. So 1 to the third is 1. 2 to the third is 8. 3 to the third, so 3 times 3 times 3, 27. And then let's do one more. If I do 4 to the third, that's going to give me 64. All right, so those are perfect cubes. And this problem and this type of factoring will only work if it has something that is a perfect cube within it. And also our terms for our variables, the exponents for the variables, should also be something that you can take the cube root for. So an example of this one, because otherwise I'm just kind of talking into air, is going to be 8c to the third. And let's do minus, let's keep it easy, 1. And let's do a different letter, e to the third. All right, so if we're factoring this one, the first thing that you need to know is there's kind of a template that we use every single time. This is our A, this is our B. So if I'm solving this, I know that a to the third minus b to the third is going to end up factoring out to be this following formula. A minus b times a, whatever the variable is, squared, plus a times b, and then plus b squared, okay? And sometimes you might be able to factor out these equations, especially if it's got the minus and the plus. A lot of times you can factor those out the rest of the way. But we're gonna just use this template for today to kind of write this one out the rest of the way. So my a is going to be equal to the cubed root of this one. So a is going to equal the cubed root. So this is going back to our roots that we were just doing. So hopefully that's why this will make sense to you. 8c to the third. So if I take the cube root of 8, we already know that it's 2. And then because I had 3 c's, I'm just going to make that 2c. So a is going to equal 2c when I'm filling in my blanks. And b, the cubed root of 1e to the third, is just going to equal 1e. And I know on like your quiz format, it doesn't really like for you to put 1e, so I'll just put an e into the problem so you can kind of see what that quiz will accept as an answer. All right, so we're going to move on and go ahead and fill in the blanks for this equation. So if we're factoring 8c to the third minus 1e to the third, and I know what my A is, and I'm going to put a circle around B, so that way you can kind of see me fill them in the blanks. Parenthesis, A, which is 2C, minus my B, which is 1E, or just E. I just realized I should have not used an E because it looks like a C. Times 2C squared is going to be 4C squared plus, and if you want to, you can go ahead and write it in parentheses and solve it out later. So let's do that. 2c times e plus e squared. And then let's go ahead and combine that one. So our final solution will look like this. 2c minus e times 4c squared plus 2ce plus e squared. Done. Okay, let's do one with a GCF just so that way you've got that practice to remind you that all of this lovely stuff can always have a GCF. So the GCF, let's say the GCF for this one is going to be 5. So I'm going to do example 2. Let's do 5 d to the third minus 40 c to the third. All right. On this one, we have a GCF. The GCF is going to be equal to 5. So we're going to factor out the GCF. And so we're left with 5 times d to the third minus 8c to the third. And now I have a perfect cube problem. So I'm going to just remember, don't forget to add this on at the end. Don't forget to keep. That's kind of the biggest problem I see typically on a test is people kind of forget to add that one on. All right, so as we keep going, we're going to factor this one out. Again, I'm going to find A and B. Find A and B by taking the cube root. All right, so I'm going to do the cubed root of d to the third is just going to equal d, and the cubed root of 8c to the third is equal to 2c. And remember, I'm going to label these A and B for the formula. Remember, this negative right here will not be going into the equation, okay? So now we're ready. Again, I'm going to put my box and my circle, and I'm going to fill in the blanks using this format again. So my format for this one is A minus B. So I'm going to do A minus B, which is going to be A, which is D, minus B, which is 2C. And let me give you the shapes because I don't have my highlighters in my classroom yet. All right, so A minus B times A squared, which is going to be the box squared, plus A, which is the box, times B, which is the circle, and then plus B squared. All right, so now we're ready to keep filling it out. Our A is D, so D squared, and then plus D times B, which was 2C. And we'll rewrite this pretty in a little bit because I know you've got like all of your little shapes in here. Plus 2C squared. And I'm just going to, ooh, that's a circle. 2C squared. All right, let's make it a pretty equation now. So we've got D minus 2C. That part stays the same. D gets squared, so D squared. D times 2CD. In math, we typically like to put the coefficients in the front. So we're going to put 2 in the front. 2, and then I'm just going to keep the D in the front. It just makes more sense for me to keep this number in the front. If you wrote CD on your paper, you're totally fine. All right, and then plus 2 squared is going to be 4, and then C squared. Don't forget that whatever is the number inside of the box also has to be squared. And that's our final answer. Oh, almost final answer. Look, I almost did not remember my answer requirement to add on my GCF. So because this one had a GCF, I needed to go back in and put that 5. All right, bye guys.